The coronavirus is starting to get a little bit more scary, and it's getting scarier day by day. The mortality rate, they say, is around 2% of closed cases. Around the 25,000 who have been infected, 10% have died. Take this all seriously. As I stressed yesterday, Italy had a few isolated cases. They don't know how it expanded as far as it did, and now they're the worst affected country outside of China, where there's so far 70 plus thousand, nearly 80,000 people infected. The World Health Organization is saying the world is simply not ready. But this is not what I want to start off with. I want to start off with telling you of okay, look, things are getting worrisome. San Francisco has declared a state of emergency over the coronavirus. I believe that is a smart thing to do. Do not take action after the news hits. And this is where I've got bad news for all of y'all. In Italy, where I covered this yesterday, in Italy, where the store shelves are being, run dry in a lot of these markets, they are threatening people with 3 months in prison for breaking quarantine, for trying to leave these cities. They set up no man's lands where if people approach, there's armed guards who stop them, but they do allow you to come and bring supplies for trade. They're taking this insanely seriously. And now we're seeing the scary aftermath, the reality for the people who don't pay attention. I want to stress, I don't think the apocalypse is here. But when you see the governments react this way, I hope you are taking care of yourselves. I have said it over and over again. You need to go buy some food. Take a look at this story. Shoppers fight in supermarket within Italy's red zone, where 50,000 people have been placed in quarantine and shops have run low on food. There is a video of people fighting in a supermarket. I was joking about this on Twitter. I called it the coronavirus wager. If the news reports I'll start over. Let me start over. If you go out and buy some food or order some food, and it turns out that everything is overblown, then you got some extra food to eat. If you get some rice and beans, congratulations, you get to have taco night a couple weeks this month. It's not the worst thing in the world. If you buy the food and the stories it's actually not overhyped, it's going to be worse. You're going to be very, very happy that you bought some supplies. Now, the alternative is if you don't buy anything and nothing happens, you're fine. But if you don't buy anything and this is bad, you're in serious trouble. So the wager basically says the smartest thing you can do is prepare for this, because otherwise you will end up fighting someone in a supermarket over the last can of beans. And you do not want to be in that situation. I do not ever want to talk about, freak out, don't panic. I don't want to talk about the world ending, but I'm going to say this. Don't freak out. Don't panic. Just take care of yourself, because I have been in hurricanes. Several hurricanes. Okay, I was in Sandy, and I was in Irene. I was in Irene in Virginia. And you go to these stores and you see just what happens after the news breaks. I'm sorry, but it feels like at this point. Well, no. I don't want to say I'm sorry. We went out to the store yesterday. We bought some water. We bought some food. I think it's a smart thing to do. I'm going to do something I don't normally do, but I'm doing now, and I mean this with the utmost sincerity. There is a website design. Look, there's a little picture of me on it. Preparewithtim.com. It's set up as, basically it's a sponsorship thing. When you buy these, I get a percentage. It's kind of like one of those sales deals. I normally don't do this. I do not ever like doing, hey, go buy this thing. It supports the channel. But I will tell you first and foremost, all of the videos I've done talking about coronavirus have been demonetized, which means every time I do these updates, there is absolutely no upside for me on this. I'm covering this because it's important, and I know it will not be a net benefit. This will help offset that. My Patriot Supply, you go to preparewithtim.com. They've got 4-week and 2-week emergency food supplies. But the only reason I'm doing this, because I am no fan of this, is because I really do think it's important at this point. How many videos have I made where I said you seriously need to consider taking care of yourself and never let anyone shame you into not preparing for some kind of, disaster? Because hurricanes happen, earthquakes happen, floods happen. I have seen so many disaster economies where the food is gone, and you do not want to be that person fighting in a supermarket, especially now that the CDC has said it's not a question of if, but when. It is going to happen. Okay, the virus will come. They're going to start locking down towns. And I mean it. Don't be scared, because according to the people who are locked down in Italy, the worst thing about it is they're bored. 80% of people get mild symptoms, around 20% get critical, and around 2% of all reported cases have resulted in deaths. I know a lot of people are arguing over how the numbers, what makes sense and what doesn't. I don't know. All I'll tell you is there's going to be an economic slowdown. There's going to be supply chain disruption. It's already happening. The question is not a matter of if, but when and how severe it will be. Now, I do have bad news for you. This is, again, I'll say it, preparewithtim.com. You go there. It helps support the channel, especially when these videos are demonetized. But you actually can get, they're doing big discounts right now. You can get 2-week food supplies. And I mean this with the utmost sincerity. The only reason I'm shouting them out is because I really think you need to take this seriously. I'm hoping that once this all blows over, and it will, Trump is right about that. But Trump definitely is trying to keep people calm. I think this will get really bad, but we'll pull through. And afterwards, we can all go back to arguing over how much of a socialist Bernie is, or if Trump really is trying to abuse the power of office. Whatever you want to argue about. I don't care your politics right now. I'm talking about you keeping yourself safe so that we can go back to uncivilized bickering, to say the least. But I with the utmost respect for everyone, whatever your political opinions may be, take care of yourself, man. Here's some of the bad news, though. They're experiencing delays for obvious reasons. You know, they're experiencing, they say now 35 times above normal demand for emergency food supplies. And look, maybe I should have given them a shout out a while ago. I still think they're a great company. You know, they're one of the few companies that I ever shout out, but I will never say don't buy. I think you should definitely put your orders in now, because if we're seeing them say rising global concerns over the coronavirus COVID-19 is resulting in 35 times above normal demand for this stuff, please do not end up being these people fighting in a supermarket over a can of beans. It may already be the case, but at least you can put that order in now. And I'll say it again, preparewithtim.com. Let's read some of these stories. So we've got, this is really annoying to me. I'm not going to get into the shoppers fighting. We get it. Okay. They fought. It's probably going to get, it's going to get worse than this, the fighting you'll see in supermarkets. If you thought Black Friday was bad, when people are fighting over things because they want them, what do you think happens when people need them? And I'll tell you what, I always think it's funny when you hear these people shouting about how you got to buy gold. Nah, you don't need to buy gold. Okay, there's a lot of financial reasons maybe you'll consider it. Gold can be a great investment. I'm bringing up the gold thing because you hear so much from the doomsayers about once the end comes and the chaos, you're going to need gold to buy stuff. That's just not true. You're going to need water. A bottle of water will be worth so much more than literally anything else. So I seriously hope you fill up some bottles. The water you have running now, it's not the best thing to do, but it's better than no water, because you can only last a few days without water before things get bad. Again, I don't think the apocalypse is coming. I just think we're going to see massive disruptions. We're going to see quarantines. And if that's the case, then you're going to want to be chilling inside your house with your food all ready to go for a couple of weeks. Listen, you order some rice and beans. You order some of these emergency. Actually, I'll tell you this. If you order rice and beans, you're going to have taco night. That's a joke I made. If you order from My Patriot Supply, you're actually going to get a wide variety. So I've definitely ordered some emergency foodstuffs and went to the store and bought stuff. It's already happening now. San Francisco declares a state of emergency over the coronavirus. The CDC has said it's not a matter of if, but when. I know I'm repeating myself. I'm just trying to stress to you the importance that do not react when it is too late. The people who are going to pull through on this one, the safest and most comfortable, positions are the ones who went up before it all started. And again, shout out to everybody in the comments, because I see your comments when you're saying, Tim, you're wrong. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Because in the first few videos, I was like, let's remain calm. It's probably not a big deal. All of those people probably went out right away and bought a couple of tubs of food. And now there's a massive demand because people are rushing. Masks are getting sold out. The prices are getting jacked up. You go to the store, you're going to see the shelves getting emptied because people are getting worried about this. San Francisco has already declared a state of emergency. The Hill reports, while no coronavirus cases have been confirmed in San Francisco, the global picture is changing rapidly, and we need to step up preparedness. We see the virus spreading in new parts of the world every day, and we are taking the necessary steps to protect San Franciscans from harm. Smart. One of the few things I can praise San Francisco for. Do not react when it is too late. Many of these jurisdictions, like Italy, didn't even set up any border control or anything like that. Oh, we got an isolated incident. It's no big deal. And now, boom, one of the worst affected countries in Europe. There's a funny meme going around where there's a news story saying, no, we don't need to close the borders between, France, Italy, or whatever. And then it was like the next day, boom, coronavirus cases hit France. So you need to do what San Francisco is doing now. San Francisco has no reported cases. They're declaring a state of emergency. Have you declared a state of emergency in your house, in your apartment, with your friends, with your family? because San Francisco's doing it and they got nothing going on. No viruses. That's smart. It might be too late. The incubation period is 14 days, but now let me send you some scarier information. They opened up the quarantine. Look at this story. Dozens of passengers, 45 people. They said, we're going to hold you for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, they said, you guys are good. Let them out. 45 now showing symptoms. They did have it. They broke quarantine because they thought 14 days was enough. I said this would happen. When I reported the story saying that the incubation period was up to 27 days in rare cases, I said, then 14 days isn't enough. You need 30. Hey, look, man, I don't want to tell governments or whatever what to do because I don't know. But I will tell you this. If it were me, I'd say I'm not leaving this boat for a month because I'm not going to risk spreading this virus to other places. I know the mortality rate is not high, but 2% is high enough. That means out of 100 people, 2 of them will pass. They will die. Okay, that's not an exciting prospect. That means if we're talking, there have been warnings about 60% global infection. They say it's the high end. Maybe we're overreacting. Maybe. It's better to overreact a little bit, but we've seen how fast it's spread. It was only a couple months ago. We had a dozen cases in China, now 80,000. They're saying, so experts have testified, have said, it's not going to be gone in the spring. Now, Trump is trying to say that it is going to go away, things like this. We don't know for sure, but we do know there's a strong likelihood, and many countries are in full-on panic mode. So you've got Italy, who underreacted, and you've got several other countries who underreacted, and now it's time for us not to underreact. I'm going to read you the story. Dozens of passengers allowed off the Diamond Princess cruise ship after it was hit by an outbreak of coronavirus have developed symptoms, Japan has revealed. Officials said they contacted 813 former passengers of the vessel who had previously tested negative for the virus and found 45 are now showing symptoms. All of those with symptoms have been asked to contact doctors and take new tests to test whether they are also infected. Japan has faced mounting criticism of its handling of the Diamond Princess ship after a failed effort to quarantine passengers on board after one tested positive led to almost 700 infections and 4 deaths. We can see they got a bunch of photos. Foreign governments eventually decided to repatriate their citizens. It was a mistake. Trump was furious. They brought these people back, and rightly so. The markets are taking a hit. Supply is slowing down. I think, in my personal opinion, it's kind of dumb. I'm worried about this, but I really don't think we're close to the apocalypse. I think it's going to be several months, maybe 6-7 months, and we're going to go beyond this. But my opinion doesn't matter. Where I think we'll end up doesn't matter. What matters is we don't really know. And you can't have an optimism bias. You can't just assume, it'll be fine. I don't need to go to the store. I'll tell you what, man. When the emergency food supply people are seeing a 35 times higher demand delaying orders, might be too late for you to get the supplies you might need. Now, you can probably still go to the store and pick up some water. Most people, I'll tell you this, if you're watching this video, you're in the front, you're in the front of the newspaper cycle, of the news cycle, collecting this information. People like me are are absolutely on the front of the line. I read all these stories right when they break, and as soon as I saw it, I went out to the store and I bought some water. And it was funny because they were like, "Why are you buying so much water?" And I was like, "We didn't buy that much," but I was like, I got a bunch of people who work here, and we have water, and we got there's a cool little thing you can buy from Amazon or wherever. Just, you put it on top of one of those 5-gallon jugs, and it's got a spigot, like a spout. You press the button, and it pumps air in and pumps the water out. It's really, really cool. So we have fresh water. Our worst case scenario is we got several 5-gallon jugs. We drink anyway. So there we go. But I'm like, seeing all these people, they're like, wow, you sure are buying a bunch of water. And I'm like, well, we got 5 people working, and, we want to have enough water for everybody to drink. We didn't buy that much. But I'm thinking, like, it's kind of funny that they don't know. They still don't know. I'm willing to bet I can go to the store, and a lot of people don't know yet. So you still have time. You guys watching, you know what's going on. They had these people, look at Japanese citizens allowed off the ship after a 14-day quarantine were asked to stay inside, but no formal measures restricting their movement were imposed. And now that they've all gone off, 45 people are showing symptoms. San Francisco is taking it seriously. So if anyone says to you, like, are you seriously going to go buy stuff now? Are you joking? Like, the world's not ending, dude. You can be like, San Francisco declared a state of emergency. Ignore these people. I see these journalists for these digital publications arguing that the stories come out of China are propaganda to make people hate China. I'm not joking. They seriously are. They're like, oh, please, the flu is still worse. Millions of people infected. The mortality rate is higher. These countries are panicking. San Francisco's declared a state of emergency. Check this out. They say the new state of emergency will allow city officials to assemble resources and personnel to expedite emergency planning measures and boost the ability to deploy a rapid response to a potential coronavirus case in the city. The move follows a similar declaration from Santa Clara County earlier this month. The declaration is effective immediately for 7 days and will be voted on by the Board of Supervisors on March 3rd. The statement from Breed comes amid stark warnings from U.S. health officials over the chances of an outbreak of the virus in the U.S. As more and more countries experience community spread, successful containment at our borders becomes harder and harder, said Nancy Messonnier, director of the CDC, Center for Immunization and Respiratory Disease. It is not a question of if this will happen, but when this will happen and how many people in this country will have severe illnesses. Disruption to everyday life might be severe. All right. Some of you are probably sitting here listening saying, whatever, I'll go to the store, whatever. Ignore me. You're free to do so. This is America. In America, you can point your finger at me and say, oh, Tim, you're crazy, even though San Francisco declared a state of emergency. Supplies are backed up, 35 times higher demand, and people in Italy are fighting in supermarkets. So by all means, ignore everything I've said over the past, a couple weeks. And then when you find yourself inside, standing outside of a Walmart parking lot with tons of people yelling and the shelves have been stripped dry, and then some, old woman runs out with the last can of baked beans and you tackle her to the ground and you're fighting desperately for those beans. I want you to remember that I said this. You need to go. I know I'm being a bit silly here, but for real. If you've never been in a disaster economy, then I can understand why you might be skeptical. But I've been to areas, affected by hurricanes. I've been New York, man. Crazy after Sandy, because there was no power in most of Manhattan. So you'd go to these bodegas and they'd have people standing at the doors guarding, standing guard. They would let one person in at a time, and most of the refrigerator food was spoiled. So what could you buy? Oil, flour, cans, beans. The water was gone. When there was an algal bloom in, I think this was near Ohio, all of the bottled water and fresh water 40 miles around the city was gone. So you had to drive 40 miles. The lines for gas, don't even ask. It was nuts. After Sandy, the lines for gasoline, you wouldn't even get it. You're sitting there all day trying to fill up, and some shops didn't have any. And that kind of stuff can happen. All right, you live in a big city, you run the risks when supply chain disruption happens. Cities are not going to be fun places to live. Look, I don't know exactly what'll happen. I think we're going to be fine no matter what, because humans have dealt with substantially worse than this. I mean, there have been flu pandemics that have been worse, but this looks like it can and will be really, really bad. And that means people will panic, and you shouldn't. You should absolutely remain calm. You have an opportunity right now before, we start seeing these states of emergency declared in our own cities and towns. I'm on the East Coast. I'm near Philadelphia. I'm near Philadelphia. This is San Francisco. No reported cases, but they're doing the right thing by acting now. And I think you should too. I'll say it one last time and I'll wrap this up. We got a bunch of news. The CDC is saying things are going to get bad. Shoppers are fighting. The World Health Organization is saying that we're just not ready for this. That may be the case. The absolute worst case scenario, if you go out and buy some rice and beans right now, is that you're going to have taco night for a week straight when all of this blows over. Not a bad prospect, I might add. Taco night's pretty fun. But if this really does get as bad as many people are expecting it to be, then you're going to be really, really happy you have beans and rice, because that, as my understanding, is a complete amino chain. I don't know for sure. But I'll wrap up one more time by saying you can go to this website, preparewithtim.com, and it helps support the channel. All of these videos get demonetized. They do not want us, talking about coronavirus for whatever reason. They got this silly little picture of me from a couple of years ago. I love it. And they are experiencing delays. That's a reality. But I would say this: delay or no delay, order now, because I can only expect that as things escalate, as more cities start declaring emergencies, the delay, eventually there's not going to be an order process at all. You're just not going to get it. So you can still get it with a delay. Maybe you might get it sooner than you expect. To say only around 80% of people, so you might be in that 20% that gets this stuff really, really quickly. Go to the store, buy some water, do what you got to do. I'm hoping that once this all does blow over, We can go back to arguing about the silliness of whether or not Bernie Sanders was right to praise the literacy program of Cuba. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/timcast. It is a different channel, and I will see you all there.